Good morning, everybody. I have a few more quotes here. I had done a video the other day about rapists. You should respect rapists, and the outlandish quote from the Awake magazine. But I just have a few more, and I want to thank everybody who sent me this information, and John for sending link to quite a bit of this. So I just wanted to cover a few more quotes. Now this is the same bond volume that I used the other day, the 1984 Awake. Now this time we are going to go to the June 8th Awake, page 28. From our readers. This is interesting. Someone writes, I was deeply disturbed by the article, They Resisted Rapists. I am very upset that anyone would even consider a victim of rape guilty of fornication. The scripture at Deuteronomy that you quote only requires that the woman scream, not fight to the death. And then there's a couple of other articles here. And this one, she says that a man had attacked her with a knife and she could only scream once and then was choked. And, she fought until she was unconscious. Because I survived, it disturbs me that it is fornication on my part. You say to show a rapist respect. These men show no respect for their victim. So there was quite a few upset women. And how many didn't write in that were upset about this? So this is their answer. Now I'm not going to read all of this because we know they're just going to try to defend their article and blah, 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 the whole, they're right, everybody else is wrong. But the first sentence here, for the victim to be considered guilty of fornication, there would need to be proof of willing consent. Apparently, the requirement of Deuteronomy 22, 25 through 27 for the woman to resist by screaming would clear her from any suspicion of such consent on her part. What woman consents to rape? Wow. Now, the last two sentences, as to showing respect for the potential rapist, it is not that he deserves it, but treating him civilly might help to elicit a considerate response and serve as a means for the potential victim to get out of a very dangerous situation. Wow. The thing is when you talk to, law enforcement and those that, study this kind of stuff, FBI, everything, it's all about control. It's usually not about sex. It's about power and control over another human being. And so, when you show them respect, you're just feeding into this power and control that they want. There's many studies about this. Got another one here. 1964 Watchtower Bond Volume. January 15th, page 63, questions from readers. According to the Bible at Deuteronomy 22, 23 through 27, an Israelite engaged girl threatened with rape was required to scream. What is the position of a Christian woman today if faced with a similar situation? Is she to scream even if an attacker threatens her life with a weapon? Now I'm going to go over to the second column, first full paragraph. Such scriptural precedents are applicable to Christians who are under command, flee from fornication. Thus, if a Christian woman does not cry out and does not put forth every effort to flee, she would be viewed as consenting to the violation. Skipping down to about halfway through the paragraph. Actually, this counsel is for her welfare, for if she should submit to the man's passionate wishes, she would not only be consenting to fornication or adultery, but be plagued by the shame. Like I mentioned before, this actually isn't a crime of passion for the most part. It's about power, control, and this is a very demented outlook. Now, I happen to have talked to some rape survivors. Yeah. And, thank you, all of you, dear sweet friends, for sharing this experience with me. And a couple of them told me that they were actually threatened with knives to their throats. And they know when you're in this situation, you know what you can and cannot get away with to survive this. So for Watchtower to tell women what to do when they're in this situation, it is not up to them, because they're not there in that situation. These women are. So, I still find it appalling, that Watchtower is telling them this, and that this would be fornication if they don't fight. I've got another one here. This is the 1968 Watchtower Bond volume, June 1st, page 347, under the subheading, Attempted Rape. About the middle of the first paragraph. As a Christian, you are under obligation to resist. You're under obligation? To who? Like I said, this is Watchtower telling women what to do when they're in that situation. I'd like to see some of these, writers, in this situation and see if they would feel the same way. This resistance includes screaming and creating as much disturbance as possible to try to frighten off the attacker and attract help. And like I mentioned before, whether it's a child or an adult, it doesn't matter. But how is a child supposed to resist and fight, on an adult? Usually they're covering their mouth, or, they've convinced them that this is okay, when they're raping this child. And what's a child supposed to do, to fight against an adult? Like I said, this is all very disturbing. Skip a couple of sentences. Resistance is imperative because the rapist is after not just money, but your virtue. An issue of integrity to Jehovah's laws is involved here. So then again, Jehovah's laws, your resistance is more important than saving your life. Same thing with the blood issue. Jehovah's laws are more important than your life. An issue of integrity to Jehovah's laws is involved here. So by no means would it be proper quietly to submit to rape, as that would be consenting to fornication. Going over to the next page, page 348. First full paragraph down. Would it be different if the man had a weapon and threatened to kill you if you did not submit? No! The scriptures plainly state that Christians are under obligation to flee from fornication. So even if you have a knife to your throat, Watchtower is telling you, you still have to fight. It is true that you face the possibility of death in this case, but you have no guarantee that if you meekly submit, your assailant will not kill you anyhow to avoid identification. And like I said, I've actually talked to some rape survivors, and they say, when you're in that situation of what you need to do to survive. What if you're knocked out? Of course, Watchtower tries to, do this thing that, if you're unconscious. So, there again, it just goes along with, what I was saying earlier, that, Watchtower has no idea, and, if this is their attitude, respect perpetrators, gives you the whole idea of what is behind their organization. Personal feelings, your life comes first. Do what you need to do to survive. It's the individual person, and I personally feel that God would not judge someone as committing fornication because they were violated and raped. Now, the 1974 Awake, March 8th, page 14, second column, the first full paragraph. It's talking about a rapist coming after a Jehovah's Witness. She told him that marriage was honorable before God and that she was married, but that what he wanted to do was not honorable. Also, that if she did not scream, she would ruin her relationship with Jehovah God and the Christian congregation. Now, this is where, some Jehovah's Witnesses may argue that, you're not going to be disfellowshipped if you're raped. Okay, that it would ruin her relationship with Jehovah God and the Christian congregation. That then she would be disfellowshipped or excommunicated from it, and that this would be worse than being killed as far as she was concerned. So they even put that right here in their article. Oh, the name of this article is Faced with the Threat of Rape. It's another good article, but wow. Now, you think this was just advice to adults? No. We all remembered this children's book. Story number 20. We remember this. Dinah gets into trouble. This is a story for children about her being raped, violated. They make it her fault. She's associating with women of the city, right here in the third paragraph. It was because these people in Canaan worshiped false gods. They were not good people to have as husbands and wives, and they weren't good people to have as close friends. So we can be sure that Jacob was not pleased that his daughter was making friends with these Canaanite girls. And then of course, when Dinah's brothers heard what happened, they went and they were killing. So there was a lot of violence in here. How did all this trouble get started? This is the last sentence in this story. It was because Dinah made friends with people who did not obey God's laws. We will not want to make such friends, will we? So just because she was friends with someone and was going into, this city, they make it her fault. Wow. So this is just another good example of Watchtower and their attitude towards victims and the survivors. So thank you for watching, and you all have a great week. Bye.